After a full season of two titans pushing one another to the limit, the finale saw it all unravel at the very first corner. The two rivals connected, and it was a race to see who could climb the order the quickest. In the end, Simone claimed the title by a mere 6 points by reaching second place. Now that things have reset, we look to kick it off at a driver and fan favorite here in New York. Will it give us more thrills? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round one of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Watkins Glen International really did host the Lotus 79 in pretty much this very layout. Let's head to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to Watkins Glen International. Situated in upstate New York, just south of the Finger Lakes, this track has seen it all. Few road circuits can boast hosting Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, and IMSA during its history. Though it did have a brief fallow period in the early 80s, thanks to the investment of local companies, it's grown into one of the premier road tracks in the U.S. With 4 layouts to choose from that range between 2.5 and 3.5 miles in length, lap times can vary greatly. But it also means it's suitable for lots of different levels of racing, from amateur to pro. The one thing that stays consistent no matter which car and which layout you're using is that Watkins Glen means speed. Many of the straights are very long, and the majority of the corners are fast sweepers. Some of them include a surprising amount of banking as well. Combine that with the proximity of the barriers, and this historic circuit retains a very old-school feel. Drivers in lesser-powered cars can expect drafting battles, while higher-powered machinery will test the skill and bravery of their pilots. Some of the turns are visually iconic, such as the carousel and the S's. Others, like the inner loop, the chute, and turn 9, greatly challenge even the expertly skilled. And of course, we haven't even mentioned the drastic amount of elevation change drivers experience. Between its rich history and popularity among drivers, this track stays busy and seems likely to be that way for a long, long time. Well, it wouldn't be a Lotus 79 Classic Grand Prix series without this track showing up somewhere in the schedule, DJ. But for those who have not witnessed these cars here, what are we in for?
Well, Joe, the biggest name of the game here at Watkins Glen is always the draft. Coming out of the 90, that first corner all the way up the S's and into the outer loop. It is always a draft fest and always the best place to make an overtake. Now, we have seen some drivers do a little bit of fuel saving when they're coming up over that if they want to do. Maybe be able to light fuel the car. Obviously, nobody really taking a pit stop during the course of this race, but light fuel the car and back off a little bit and save a couple of gallons that way. But what really happens once you come through the outer loop, if you're side by side, you can continue to go side by side all the way through the chute and the toe and down through the boot itself. It is absolutely incredible to get right. But I've said this before and I will say it again, one of the most crucial corners here on this track is coming out of the boot. That very tricky uphill left-hander. You get that right, that'll set you up for a good run into the 90 in a good overtaking zone. So keep an eye out for that. But rest assured, as it always happens when we come to this track, it's going to be exciting.
Things stay close with that slipstream. Speaking of staying close, if we look at the championship from last season and how it all wound up, look at that. Just a mere 7 points between them, with Severi Seppa there a little ways behind considerably. He had a nice fight at the end with Gernot Friesche trying to sort out the top 3. Friesche, shockingly, did not come out ahead of him and had to settle for 4th place. Timo Vascalampi scuttled in the top 5 after 12 rounds. What about the Classic Teams Championship, though, DJ?
Well, as you can see there, a little bit more separation at the top with Parmalat Racing Team Brabham heading off Scuderia Ferrari Spa Sefik there by roughly about 30 points or so. A little bit closer of a battle back to third with Martini Team Lotus, and then behind them a very, very close battle they had all season long with Avalon Saudi Racing Team Williams, only 4 points separating them in the end. A good way back was Warnsteiner Arrows Racing Team coming in with 209 points on the season to round out your top 5.
Now, for today's event, if we look at the race details, 28 laps that they have to try and get in around here. It's an open setup series. The good news is, if you've never run this car before, the drivers are pretty willing to share information, and they actually have a whole setup pack for the season that they try to hand out to the drivers just so that everybody can get up to speed easily. But watch out for those incident points. Even though they don't have the inner loop out here, there's a few places where you can maybe snatch the grass a little bit and get a drive-through at 17 or a full disqualification at 25. We're just getting the first laps in now across the timing line, and Ascari Rinna, without our two championship rivals here today, has taken the point and currently holds the provisional pole, but we're still waiting on Gernot Frische to set his first time. He hasn't been quick in qualifying the last couple seasons. Will he turn it around this time?
Well, we will have to see if he is able to do so. Thankfully for Gernot, if he is not able to get back on that qualifying form we've seen him have in seasons other than last year, plenty of opportunities to make a pass here. Good run for him there out of the outer loop. Let's see how he handles coming through the chute. Picture perfect line. Little bit of a tail wiggle there, but that's to be expected with these high-powered Lotus 79s.
Nico Lino in second place is about a tenth and a half off of Rinna. So still looking quite good for Ascari. We'll see, though, sometimes second laps can be significantly faster for these drivers. We're still waiting on Frische to set a time as we watch him continue on around. This is his first flyer, so he did not miss the first one. He just decided to come out a little bit late onto the track.
Yeah, it could just be trying to game a little bit of the weather, potentially see if it can heat up. It is very cool here at Watkins Glen, only 77 degrees on track. Decent amount of wind there, coming between 6 and 7 miles an hour. There he comes out of the corner, though. Frische very, very wide. He's going to come across the line now with a 31.9. That's only going to put him in P7, so he's got a lot of work to do.
Ooh, up at the top, Rinna went faster by a few tenths, and Lino came in just 3/100ths behind him. So extremely tight up at the front. Vascaloppi second lap, good enough for a 10th off in third place. We're watching Seppa on the screen right now as he sits down in 11th. A bit far down for him. We'll see if maybe this lap can put him higher up to the front.
Well, he's going to be hoping. I saw him have a lot of counter steer he had to put in through that uphill left-hander, but let's see what happens here. Crosses over the line, a 31.6. That's a little bit more respectable. That's going to jump him up into fourth place.
Absolutely. I think Frische yet to set a second time, and that is about it. No, I take that back. Mascara is still coming around on his second lap, and he should have enough time to do so. So only two drivers that we're waiting on that can set times here at the end. We're on board with Ove Trangrade, who's already taken his 2 laps. There's Mascara now on screen coming into the boots.
Yeah, coming into the boot. I think this is going to be a slow lap for him. Looks like he had a big off there, that clock ticking upward.
Frische just made a mistake on his second lap, so I'm not sure if this is going to be quicker for the number 1 car.
I'm not sure if it is either. He had a big wobble there coming out of the boot section. He looks like he's over. Yeah, he knows it's not there, so he's going to be starting off at best in 9th place.
Wow, what a change there. So we've only got Mascara and Thomas Torp. Somehow I missed him. He's out and running here on one last flyer as we hop on board with the Scandinavian. Javier, I can report, is just coming out of the final turn. He sits last on the fields for his first time. His second one looks like that had an off, so that's not going to be counted for him, unfortunately. Torp with just enough to squeak through on this second one.
Yeah, he'll be able to come across nice and easy. Good lines there through the boot section, looking pretty clean and put together. And a lot of times when you're driving this Lotus and it feels a little bit slow, it looks a little bit slow, you're actually doing it just right, minimizing any sort of counter steer that you're going to have to put in. Dives it through that last corner. Little bit of an awkward apex there. Catches maybe a little bit of grass in the exit, but let's see the time.
32.2 becomes nothing better because he did not have that one count, unfortunately. That's going to be it for our drivers who can set a time. I know Jukka Tolinen is out there, but I don't think he's going to be able to cross before these 30 seconds are over. Well, that means that our grid is set, and it's Scotty Rina who is on the pole with Mikko Lino starting next to him. Timo Vascalompi returns. We've got quite a bit of speed here. Good enough for third next to Severi Seppa, who will start from fourth position. Jukka Tolinen will be P5 with Michael de Turk starting in sixth spot. Then you've got Nicola Kochi in seventh and Ove Trangrade outside him in eighth. Gernot Friesche only good enough for ninth, still fighting those qualifying demons as Alex Millward rounds out your top 10.
In 11th is Paul Williams, followed by Thomas Torp in 12th. Matthias Heivdahl is going to be 13th, followed by Timothy Reed and Alessandro Parigi behind him in 15th. Pablo Suarez will be 16th, and making up row 9, it's Barry West and Christopher Dubois, followed by Javier Mosquera in that 19th position.
Well, this is going to be interesting because Matthias Hovdahl comes over from the Camel GT series, and he's known there for trimming out the car. So at a track where you can often find places from having something quick in a straight line, wonder if he'll be one to watch out for. He will be starting from 13th, so he'll have some climbing to do as we wait for the rest of the field to grid up here today. Round 1 of the Sunday Grand Prix series for the Lotus 79 community, where drivers bring out their best. We have a split today. This is the 19 fastest that have lined up on the grid. Well, at least fastest by iRating, I should clarify. And we'll see if they wind up being the quickest overall in the race itself. So we just have about 3 more to go, including our pole sitter, Rinna, waiting quite a while before he plops it on the grid today. Seppa also taking his time, as well as Friesche. There's our pole sitter now, finally out and ready to go, as we've got about 20 seconds left for them to grid up, and that's everybody. So with that, the engines start to rev. The lights come up. It's round 1. What are we in store for this season? The green flag is out. Rinna is good off the line, but not Lino. He is, in fact, swamped by everybody around him. Immediately up into second, Vascalompi gets into that spot as they plunge into the 90. It's looking pretty patient through there, and we have no incidents.
Looking pretty patient, but we are 3 wide in the back, and I believe that was Lino into the outside retaining wall.
Wow, I have never seen that before, coming into turn 2 into the S's. Up at the front of it, Vascalompi with a great run on Rinna. Will we see a change of position as they come up? No, he is going to hang out behind him, but Seppa looks to the inside as they come into the carousel, and they're going to stay in line as he also backs out.
A very, very heads-up run in the back there from Nicola Kochi as well, really starting to try to push some moves up in the field. There, you can see, but that's Kochi, a big, big slide coming through the chute, and that's going to throw him way off the pace.
He falls down to 8th. Still, everybody is running so far. We've had some scary moments, but they've held tough as they now climb back up the hill out of the toe of the boot. Your lead 3 is Rinna, Vascalompi, Seppa.
They are indeed, and there we ride on board. You can see that straight line of cars. Tricky section coming through here as we follow Kochi around, especially with all the aero wash you're getting. It can really unbalance the car. Very wide there. That's Millward in front of him getting very sideways.
Something happened to Mosquera. I'm seeing him grayed out on my screen, so I'm not sure what happened there, but from 1st to 18th, it is only 6.5 seconds right now. It is still insanely tight through this field.
Very much is, Joe, and that means everybody's going to get the full effect of the draft. We've got a lot of movement there in the back. That looks like West and Parigi. I think Parigi had an off.
Oh, he had a big off. But let's take a look at the replay. You can see the damage there as we head to it. I think into the final corner, he's going to go wide and catch what is a very close barrier to the track.
Well, it's very tricky to get this last corner right, Joe. You come in there, you want to carry a lot of speed. Oh, big whap.
That car is not made to have the tires leave the ground. And when that happens, you know that something has gone seriously wrong.
Yeah, it is, as they would say, suboptimal to take that line coming up into the air. So definitely a bad hit for Parigi. But as we jump back up, this is that battle for the lead. Rinna able to pull away a little bit from Vascalompi, not take full advantage of the draft, but Severi Seppa definitely keeping the pressure on the number 6.
As we hop on board, looking up at our top two from Seppa. Behind him, we can't forget about the likes of Tolanen, Deturk, Freesia, Millward, Kochi. They're all very close behind, the slipstream allowing them to stay within a single train. And you can see here as we ride on board with Millward, looking back at Kochi. He could pounce if he wanted to. The question is, does he?
Well, I think he wants to be a little bit strategic here, does Nicola Kochi. Doesn't want to make that move before the 90, take full advantage of the draft. Poking his nose around a little bit on the start-finish straight here. Is he going to make the move into the 90? No, he's just going to think about it, see if he can throw Millward offline.
Wow, Parisi's woes with that final corner compound as he slid out and hit the barrels on the pit entry. So he is now DNF'd. I would say our second of the day, but I just saw Mascara reconnect. I think he had a connection issue, and we'll see if he gets back on track to try and salvage something of this as we ride on board with 10th, who started on the front row. Lino's not been able to really make up many spots. That's not looking good for him.
No, it's really not. And I have to say there that he is in hot pursuit of Paul Williams. That's him right ahead. But this is the battle here for that third place. That is Deturk back in fifth, trying to chase down Seppa and Tolanen.
So as they come through the extra boot section towards the heel of it, Rinda able to stretch away a little bit in front of everybody. Ooh, and a plunge down the inside from Lino as he tries to take it away from Williams. They're going to be side by side right now. You can see them coming up and over the crest of turn 9, back onto the main circuit, and Williams is in no mood to let him through. He just eases him back.
Amazing car control from both drivers. I know in my personal experience on this car on that circuit, if I am offline even by the slightest, I am in the wall. So really, really good job of both of those drivers to keep it together. But the way they're running here, I got to think that we're going to have a little bit more of a draft battle coming down onto the main straight, but we're going to on the long back straight, riding on board here with Kochi. Now, Kochi got blocked a little bit on that last lap by Millward. Millward stuck to what is the outside here and shut the door on Kochi. Let's see if he's a little bit more wise this time around.
Kochi's got to run. Millward's not going to be able to do much here to hold him back. He knows it. He holds to the outside, allows him to take the inside as Kochi will have the desired line, but it's a very heavily banked corner, and it's not going to be enough for Millward. He'll fall back into 8th.
No, I thought for a second there that Millward may have been able to hang it around the outside, do a little bit of an over-under move potentially, but nothing doing there. Riding on board now with the Finn, Severi Seppa, as he continues trying to hunt down Teemu Vaskalampi.
He's not giving up on that second place, even if they are watching Oscar start to drift away, looking at another championship himself. And he's certainly making good on it here at the start of this race, putting distance between he and his rivals as the number 3 runs through turn 9. Seppa keeping Vaskalampi within range. He's not been close enough to attack these last few laps.
No, he really hasn't. Once again, I don't know if that's just a little bit of lifting coming down that long back straight, maybe just trying to save a little bit of fuel. As I said at the top, he may have underfueled the car at the start, or if he is just waiting for the perfect opportunity.
Let's see here. He's hopefully going to get a run as we ride on board with Freesia. Man, the racecraft of this multi-time champion never ceases to amaze me. Even if he's not quick in qualifying, he always climbs up in the race. You can almost put a clock to it, and he's now up to 6th position, stalking the likes of Deturk. I can tell you that Seppa's looking on the inside of Vaskalampi. There you can see him on screen. Now getting to the inside as they come down into the outer loop. He's not going to have the pace and the grip, and denying him, Vaskalampi will hold him back.
Oh, that's a great move there for Vaskalampi, and you hit the nail on the head earlier, Joe, when you talked about the banking of that outer loop. Almost acts like a little bit of a short track corner, and you can carry a lot more speed around the outside, but that's Vaskalampi around.
Oh, and he takes out Seppa as well. Both of them off track, and I think Seppa hard into the wall. Unfortunately, they fall to the very back of the field.
Oh, me, oh my. We're going to check out the replay here. I think this was him just carrying a little bit too much speed into the corner, getting on the power slightly early and spinning those rear tires. So we watch here, watch that blue car. This is Seppa behind him. Here comes Vascalampi. There it is. Yeah, Seppa tries to avoid and just absolutely nowhere to go.
Tolanen's loving this, though. He just found an opening to the inside and snuck through. This is from Seppa's perspective. God, this has got to be just gut-wrenching. You see the car, and you have to pick a side quickly, but unfortunately, I don't think there was really much he could do.
No, there really wasn't, and especially at the low speeds like that. And I have to say, Vascalampi did do everything right there, immediately stamped on the brakes, just trying to get that car under control, and sometimes it just won't work for you.
Well, their frustration is the gain for others as Deturk is into the podium, but maybe not long because Gernot Freische finds himself promoted up 2 spots and now 3. He easily gets himself into 3rd. Qualifying be damned, this man he will not quit, and he is looking at another points haul.
He certainly is, and he is definitely within striking distance of Jukka Tolanen here, trying to pull that in, but a very, very close gap, really all the way back to 6th place with Freische, Deturk, Kochi, Millward, all running very, very line astern there. You can see them on your screen.
I mean, the gap in the field is still only, let's see, barring Vascalampi and Seppa with their incident, we got 12 seconds from 1st to 15th, less than a second a car on average between 15 cars. That's pretty amazing.
Really is, and it's a testament both to the skill level in this top split of the Lotus 79s and just the incredible racing that Watkins Glen produces.
We hop on board with Millward now. He can see those podium positions up ahead of him. Although Freische has pulled away from Deturk by about 0.8 of a second, so he's not really letting him get close to him at this stage. But you never know with that slipstream. We're on board with Freische, looking off his gearbox. You can see them just fanning out a little bit through the 90 with that paved runoff, and now they pick up speed through the S's.
Yeah, get the good speed going here. We jump back here to take a look at that battle for P4 right there. Very defensive line for Deturk, trying to hold off any momentum from Kochi, but Kochi's got to worry about Millward behind him as well. Kochi's going to have to go around the outside. Millward maybe might have tracked this 2 for 1, and there goes Kochi around the outside, carries the momentum. Little bit of a slip there, almost contact.
Oh, it pinches him down to the outside. Still has to leave the gap open, and Millward's going to try and take advantage of it. The side-by-side battle continues. Deturk off to the right-hand side, and his Williams is hoping that that inside line will help. It does, falling backwards. Millward now on the rearward guard as Lino comes up. Oh, but he doesn't have the exit he needs.
Yeah, smart move there. Ooh, thought about maybe taking a move. There was Lino going down into the heel of the boot, but thought better of it. I have to say that's a pretty wise decision. Very, very difficult to get anything done there.
Not been the inroads that I expected from the number 9, and he nearly loses it as we hop on board just in time. Good call from our director to see that moment from Miko.
Yeah, you can see just how much car control these guys have to have, and you can see up the road there, Deturk very much hot on the heels of Kochi, and Lino now trying to make a move as well. Everybody, or Millward rather, trying to make a move on Deturk as well. This is going to be very, very close. I think advantage is going to be here with Millward in that red, white, and blue machine.
All right, once again, picking up speed already, 155 miles an hour here at the top of the hill. They've certainly dropped Lino behind them, so he can focus forward on Deturk, but Millward doesn't seem to have the straight line speed, and they're going to stay in order. Now, in front of them, interestingly, Freische has been consistently quicker than Tolanen. He's actually looking at 2nd place here.
Yeah, riding out the back here of Jukka Tolanen, and Freische just on an absolute tear up through the field. Very, very good speed in that number 1 machine. Has a little bit of a better line there going through the toe. He's going to have to be patient. I don't think there's going to be a real passing opportunity until they potentially get to the 90, but he has certainly got the speed in that yellow and white machine.
All right, so this Renault is already sizing up the number 8, Tolanen, having qualified in 5th. He's a little bit higher than maybe he expected as well, so a 3rd place would still be useful. As the Ferrari comes into the penultimate turn, puts himself at arm's length from Freische. but he doesn't need to be close to him here. He just needs to be close enough for that slipstream.
Exactly, and the big thing here, like we saw last time out with Millward, is he's just got to nail the exit of the 90. He's been pretty good throughout the course of it, catches up pretty well through there, gap stabilizing at about 0.4 of a second.
And we could see Millward himself was getting pretty close. We're watching from Nico's perspective as everybody now starts to reel one another in. I'm keeping an eye as well on that battle between Frisha and Tolanen as we watch all of them head down and poking his nose out. Looks like Millward fancies his chances. Can he get to the inside? No, just barely. Turk wanted to shut the door, but he couldn't. He's going to ride the outside line. He'll have his nose in coming into the chute. And will he get it chopped off instead on him? Not quite. He's given space. Millward around the outside of the chute finally gets the job done.
And that is just sheer perseverance on Alex Millward's behalf, just sticking that car to the outside through the chute and making it work. A really, really great move. Michael DeTurk, though, now is going to have a little bit of pressure behind him from Lino, but he is going to have to try to keep his eyes focused up the road as well.
Don't forget about Ove Trangrade in that Honda livery number 13. Because he's still about 9/10 behind this group. If they keep fighting like that, he could suddenly find himself in the mix. So we hop on board with him. He's actually exactly where he started this race. So he hasn't gained or lost. I'm sure he'd like to change that.
I'm sure he would as well, as we watch these drivers come through the 90 now on their 10th lap. Let's take a look here. I think Frisha got a much better run as they come up through the S's. He may have a look on Tolanen.
Yeah, this is the closest we've seen him yet on this part of the track. And Tolanen's not going to fight it. He in fact moves all the way to the outside immediately and letting Frisha through. Is he going to lift or is he going to try and fight it the long way around? He's going to try and fight it. That Ferrari sending it in deep down into the outer loop. He'll be able to hold on to the next corner. They've come down to the chute. We've seen this multiple times and it can go either way. This time it's going to go to Frisha.
Again, that outside line through the chute just paying mega dividends for that car. Jumping on board here with Jukka Tolanen. We see him trying to keep the car under control as they come up through the hill.
Sorry, contact between DeTurk and Lino, and Michael DeTurk is the one that is going to come off worse. He gets the car going, but you can see it's severely damaged on the rear wing.
Yeah, that's a big whap there. Coming back to check out the replay now, that is Millward ahead of him, taking a little bit look to the inside of the chute. Lino now coming up behind. Contact's going to happen here very shortly. Let's see how this goes. Lino looks to the inside. DeTurk, just a little bit too much of an aggressive chop. That was a late move there from Lino, but DeTurk should have known he was there and not completely cut off the nose.
Yeah, that one's a tough call. And to be fair to Mikko, he did apologize. It obviously was not intentional. We're on board of Hovdal, up about, looks like 4 spots from his starting position, as he is now trying to hound Paul Williams out of 8th place. Everybody promoted, one due to the incident from DeTurk.
Indeed, he's got a pretty good run there coming up through the S's, taking massive advantage of that slipstream, trying to get around the number 14. Here he comes, keeping it in it. It's going to have to be a late move if he goes for it. He's going to look to the outside and try to carry that momentum through the outer loop. Not enough.
Still, he's very close. Something could certainly happen here as we take a look at second place. Once again, Tolanen not giving up on things. Kochi having caught up a little bit from there, battling one another. If Frisha is going to have a clear lap, or a lap with clear air in front of him, I should clarify, this lap. So I'm kind of curious what his pace looks like compared to Ascari Rinna in front of him. Is he actually catching the overall leader in this as well?
Well, on that last lap, he was about 0.5 of a second slower, but as you said, there was a little bit of dirty air, so we'll have to see what he does this time out. There you can see, big wiggle there coming through the corner.
Well, Ren just came across the line. It was a 32.9. Frisha across now, a 32.8. He was a 10th quicker, but they've got, about 16 laps to go here. I don't think that's going to be enough if he's a 10th quicker each lap.
No, he's going to have to be praying for a little bit of mistake out of Ascari Rinna, and that is a very, very hard thing to force. Rinna, always a very consistent and smooth driver, but there's still plenty of race left to run here, so anything can happen.
On top of it, he's going to have to try and fend off Tolanen and Kochi as well. If they get a good run on him at any stage, that could slow him up too. There you see our leader just plug it away up at the front. Put it on pole. Hasn't really been challenged since early on at the start with the slipstream. Just basically been doing his own thing up at the front. Mikko, in the meantime, who started next to him, still has Ove Trangarade, who I'm hearing from some of our informants in the background is pretty quick in a straight line. We'll see if that comes true here.
Well, that is one of the things you can do in these Lotuses is you can kind of make the option to trim out a little bit, try to take advantage of that long straightaway and get some top speed. But the counterbalance is that you lose some time in the twisty bits.
There's a little bit of a side-by-side battle here coming up towards turn 9. And Williams finally having to give it up to Matthias Hovdahl, who finally takes 8th place away from him. Behind them, Timothy Reed and Christophe Dubois having a nice fight, and they're going to settle that into turn 10 with Reed coming into 11th.
Indeed they are. This may not be done, though. That looks pretty close as they come across the timing and scoring line. May see a little bit of a move or two coming onto the straightaway here.
Dubois very deep on the brakes down into the 90. Doesn't hurt him on the exit too much. That's Deturk behind them with Suarez. Deturk probably a little slow in a straight line with the damage on his bodywork. We'll see and find out here.
I'm frankly amazed he's able to keep going. That's a big amount of damage to take on the rear wing of this Lotus, but both of these cars 2x2. That looks like it could be Torp making a move, or Reed making a move if he wants it. No, but oop, there's the move from behind.
Then I can report that Deturk is actually 5 miles an hour down on top speed compared to those in front of him. So yeah, he's struggling a little bit here and trying to make it up in the corners, it appears. Ooh, Rena actually went 0.3 quicker last lap than Freesia, just getting everybody up to speed on that fight. So he's responding to the multi-time champion rocking up into second place by making him work even harder. Continue to watch 4th on board, just behind both Freesia and Tolanen, as the Finn leads the Italian, having been overtaken by the Austrian.
Indeed, he is. Keeping an eye here with Kochi, though, who looks like he may have a little bit of a good run if he gets it right. Not the best exit through the 90. That's going to cost him. Yeah, already dropped about 1/10 of a second back to Tolanen.
Haven't mentioned it, but we've dropped a fair few drivers considering the smaller split that we've got. Mascara, Parigi, Seppa, and Vascalampi have all left this race prematurely, and we're down to 15 out of the 19 starters.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit of attrition starting to take its toll on everybody here. Ooh, very wide line for Kochi. I think he was just trying to carry a little bit more speed. But we jump back here with Ove Trangarade trying to go and chase down Lino, still ahead of him.
Halfway mark in this race, so still plenty left to go. Trangarade's up to 7th after we had that incident with Deturk, and is now spying 6th place. Mikko in front of him, started in 2nd. Unfortunately had a bad incident early on and has fallen down to 6th spot. Oh, and that was Millward. Millward off the track in the heel of the boots.
A little bit of a terrifying comeback onto the track there, able to get around Hovdahl and all. We're going to take a look at what happened, Joe. I think he may have just missed his braking zone going down into the heel.
Yeah, not something that we've talked about as much recently with these cars. This is proper old school. There's no driver aids. This is just you and the machine, all analog to try and make it fast, and you can see how tough it is.
Yeah, I think there what happened was he was trying to get on a little bit of a trail brake, get the car to rotate around the corner, coming into the corner, turn in. Looks like he may have just put a little bit too much steering into it, and that caused the front tires to lock ever so slightly, and that just sent him into the kitty litter.
Meanwhile, Once again, looking at Tolanen. As quickly as he got overtaken by Freesia, he's been using that slipstream well. He's been staying about roughly half a second behind the number one and keeping him honest, but hasn't been within attacking range. Oh, we got to go to Williams because, whoa, I think he just made a little contact with Millward as he was coming through.
Yeah, a little bit of a bump there from the two of them. I don't think it did too much damage to the cars. May have just slightly upset the under tray, which is obviously where all of the downforce is generated. Ooh, that's Millward running very, very wide. Maybe giving an opportunity to Paul Williams if he wants to go for it.
And actually, Millward down to the inside of Hovdahl, but once again at the same corner, he nearly loses it. Williams is now on the attack, looking left and right, ducks down to the inside of turn 9, but he starts to slip up. The inside grip not there in that corner, so they stay as they were on the entry to the heel of the boot as we see another fastest lap from Rinna in the meantime.
Oh, look at that car control from Millward. Somebody needs to tell him we are not in a drift car here. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Incredible car control. I mean, a fantastic catch.
Very much so. I wouldn't be surprised if Millward's got a little bit of dirt running in his background, the way he was able to hold on to that slide. Very, very impressive from him. Obviously, though, that does dump him down a little bit, only about 0.4 of a second back from Hovdahl. But I think the checkup from behind him with Torp and Williams has really caused that to expand a little bit. Millward, though, looks like he may have a bit of a run here on that neon machine.
Get to the inside. Can he hold on to it this time without losing control? He can, but it's not over. Hovdahl, oh, no, Hovdahl's actually going to break early and let him through. Figuring Millward's quicker, just going to let him go. You talk about dirt racing. I don't know if they have any dirt ovals over in the UK, but obviously Rallycross, a very deeply historied over there, so maybe he's done a bit of that as we had a small slide from Hovdahl. Instead, we've switched over to another bright yellow helmet with Nikola Kochi still chasing Tolanen, and Tolanen now dropping away from Freesia.
Yeah, not really able to hold that on as much as he would hope. The gap's up to about a second at this point, but Kochi really doing a good job through the twisty bits of this circuit. I think he may be running a little bit more of a high downforce setup as compared to Jukka Tolanen, as Tolanen just seems like he's got the legs to be able to keep things going down the straight. As I say that, though, Kochi's got a good run through the S's.
Tolanen's kind of known for liking a very fast car in a straight line. Let's see, Kochi in his slipstream, but he's still running about the same speeds as him. He's picking him up just a little bit. Tolanen was running the inside all the way down close and now goes to the racing line and is able to hold Kochi back. Still about 0.8 behind Gernot Freesia in second place in front of them. The gap between P1 and P2 holds at about 6 seconds, being increased ever so slightly. Oh, Kochi taking a look to the inside, down to the toe of the boot. Tolanen with a tiny mistake. Oh, but it's not quite going to be there. A bit odd, I have to say. Whoa, as he's now going to go for it and goes deep down into the corner, takes a little bit of curve. He makes it stick, and Tolanen sees a rude move from Nikola Kochi.
That was absolutely brilliant, Joe. I was watching Kochi go through that, and I was about to say he's going to have to surprise Tolanen to try to get by him, maybe make a move through a section of the boot. Well, apparently Kochi is not only a fantastic driver, but he's a mind reader as well, so move him up. But watch out here. If Tolanen is running a little bit more trimmed out, he may be able to make a good move on the straight.
I was about to say before that happened that it's odd seeing the Italian not in the bright scarlet red car. As we look now at Millward, still being hunted by the man that he passed recently, Matthias Hovdahl, and a big mistake. Boy, a lot of errors today from Alex.
Yeah, that car really not doing too hot there. May have just overcooked the tires ever so slightly. Gonna check the replay on this. I think he just comes in a little bit too hot into the 90. Yeah, there he goes. Once again, kind of same problem we have. We saw some other drives have carry a little bit too much speed, and the car just gets sideways.
Oh, boy. Kochi's got to be frustrated. Tolanen, with his straight line speed, easily passed him down the backstretch and is once again in front of the number 5.
Indeed he is. Let's see if he's a little bit more wise to the move here as they make their way up and over the hill of the boot. Is Kochi going to have another look into the heel? No, he's not. So being a little bit more patient this time out.
We also saw on our screen a little bit of a look from Hovdal before both of these battles. So ridiculously close right now. Less than a car length apart from one another.
Yeah, Watkins Glen just absolutely proving everybody on a very, very razor's edge here. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there from Havdal. That's not going to help him, and he's got to be careful because Torp has now caught up to this battle as well. We could very well see a 3, maybe even a 4-way fight, as that's Paul Williams lurking in the background too.
10 laps to go, about a third of the race left. As, to the inside, a mistake maybe coming up the hill from Tolinen, as Kochi is going to try and get by, but he doesn't usually have as good a straight line speed. Is this going to go back to Yuka? It does look to be the case. Starting to fall back. Does he try and chuck it in down into the carousel? He does, and keeps it wheel to wheel as they now come off the corner, plunging downhill into the chute, but it's just not there. He's still going to try, not giving up, as they go around the outside of the chute, and Kochi, makes a little bit of contact. It's getting feisty now as they plunge into the toe of the boot. He's going to finally get that spot away. Did he scare Tolinen off?
I don't know if that was a scare tactic or a perseverance tactic, but one way or the other, an incredible move there from Kochi, just sticking it around the outside. And I think he knew what we were talking about, that Tolinen does have a little less downforce, and so Kochi knew that he would have to be earlier on the brakes, and in turn, Kochi could be able to carry some more speed around the outside. Very, very good move. He's got to be scared a little bit here, though, Joe, because he's only about 0.4 of a second up the road from Tolinen, and that draft is going to come back to bite him again, like we saw last time out.
Loving these two opposites fighting it for third place as we continue to watch Millward and Hovdal here. It looks like Millward finally pulling away, but can he keep the mistakes down? But we have the talkative and fiery Nicola Kochi against the cool and collected Tolinen. Tolinen opting for speed, Kochi opting for downforce, and the two are just about dead even on pace in this race itself, but it's given us an incredible battle that's about to erupt again.
It sure is. Here comes Tolinen. Indeed, he's going to dive down to the inside of the outer loop. A little bit of a wiggle there from Kochi, but he's able to carry momentum around the outside. Tolinen not able to fight back.
So Nicola Kochi will retain it for now, and this is where he should be strong. I mean, if you're Kochi, DJ, wouldn't you want to try and push as hard as you can through this portion to get rid of Yuka?
Yeah, exactly. This is the portion that you've got to try to make up some ground in. In the grass, Tolinen, amazing job of car control to be able to hold on to that.
Wow. And this is the chance that Nicola needs to try and pull away and break the slipstream. Let's watch that red Ferrari just go a little too wide here.
Well, and you saw where that really started, Joe, mid-corner, that he was having to put a little bit more lock into the turn than I think he would have liked to. Probably just losing a little bit of front grip there, not getting the car hooked up the way that it was, and it ran wide, oversteered at corner exit, put the power down with that rear tire on the grass, caused the tire to spin, and just very incredible job of car control to keep everything pointing the right way.
I think that may have cost him a hope at that third place. So instead, we look at Ove Trangrade up to 6th now, ahead of, well ahead of Millward, honestly, and continuing to fight with Miko. The number 9, is he going to be slow in a straight line here? Because it looks like Ove's got the slipstream. Oh, big lift. Well, you were talking about trying to save fuel. Ove seems to have either he doesn't want to yet, or he is trying to save a little bit.
Yeah, not sure what that'll be. And at this point, frankly, if he's got the speed, I don't know why you wouldn't want to make the move. So I got to think that's a little bit of fuel saving. Bad line there, though, through the chute from Mikko Lino. That's going to hurt him a little bit, as now we look out the back of Thomas Torp. That's looking at Paul Williams in the 14, trying to hunt him down.
This is now one of our closest fights on the track into the toe of the boot. Williams about up one position from where he started, but we've seen him in the mix a lot today, having really been trying to fight hard for every position he can snag. But he's not going to be able to get one from Torp, at least for these few corners, as Thomas has things under control in that number 11.
Yeah, he's able to hold it down pretty well as Ascari Arena sets yet another fastest lap. But we're going to jump back up here to Trangarade. This is that battle we've been following between Trangarade and Lino. Let's see what the line here through the 90 is for both of the cars. A little bit more aggressive on the curbing there was Trangarade, but it's not going to help him as much. Gap is still holding at about 0.3 of a second.
Up at the top of the screen, Freesia just took the fastest lap away by about a 1/10. So continuing to try and push as hard as he can, just in case something happens to Rinna. Trangarade, yeah, doesn't look all that interested trying to overtake that blue car.
Yeah, a little bit of a lift there again. So I think Trangarade definitely maybe saving a little bit of fuel here. That looks like it is his game. Like I said, this car is very, very fuel load dependent. It does change a lot as the fuel wears off. And so a lot of times you'll see drivers underfuel the car a little bit in an attempt to gain a couple of tenths of speed.
Once again, up the hill and towards the heel of the boot. He's going to have to get closer than that to try and overtake and get himself into the top 5. What a jumbled top 5 it is. Rinna, our pole sitter, still leading. And a 1:32.1, not the fastest lap of the race, still belonging to Freesia. But Freesia starting from 9th up to 2nd. And Kochi up from 7th up to 3rd. That's your podium. Tolinen from 5th to 4th, and then Lino from 2nd all the way down to 5th. Ooh, Kochi with the fastest lap. That's interesting.
Very interesting indeed. He's still got a lot of time to make up on Freesia, although he has been able to gap Tolinen relatively well. But yeah, Kochi just looks like he's pushing there, not really getting too much of a benefit of a draft, so that is just all on sheer force of will from Nikola Kochi.
Continuing to keep an eye on this battle for 5th. Only this and the battle for 11th are really relatively close to one another at this stage in the race. Down into the chute one more time. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like Trangarade's got enough here. In fact, he's dropping a few tenths and hundredths each lap.
Yeah, it doesn't look exactly great, but we're going to jump back and give some love to a battle we haven't really focused on too much. This is Timothy Reed and Christophe Dubois here. That gap coming down. Reed doing a good job to try to tuck up behind him. Dubois up 7 positions from his starting place.
Yeah, the Frenchman, having qualified in 18th, has made good on all those around him falling to trouble and been picking them off bit by bit. But he'll have to play defense on Timothy Reed, who's up 2 from 14th to 12th. Another fastest lap from Rinna. And I know we keep bringing that up a lot, but depending on how this season goes, that could play a part. Remember, it was down to 7 points at the end of last season. Well, it's +2 bonus points for the fastest lap of the race. So that could wind up being critical.
Indeed, it very, very well could. So we'll have to see what they do in terms of that, especially with guys missing out. Ooh, very big run wide there for Reed. That's going to hurt him on the run to the 90.
Yeah, he's dropped a number of car lengths, and you can see it on the screen. Down to 5 laps to go. Now the drivers, now that they've split up, have finally put some distance between first and last place. Right now, that is Michael de Turk. Of course, we know that he is limping, but that's still only about 2 seconds behind Barry West. 39 seconds from first to last on the track.
Yeah, trying on board here again with Trangrade and Joe, as you said earlier on, very, very far back here for Trangrade. Little bit of a mistake there for Lino, so maybe that's going to give a little bit of hope here for the number 13.
Yeah, that'll get him back closer into the slipstream, which is what he needs right now, especially if he's saving. We'll see if he's able to use this coming up the hill. 4 laps to go. I'm with you. I mean, the time to go would have been yesterday. And I think if I'm Ove, I would be pushing to try and make the overtake, but let's watch.
Well, he's got a good run there through the 90s, starting to get a good push on here. Let's see what he's able to do. Tucks up behind. Let's listen to that throttle. There's the shift up into 5th gear. Let's listen if he's lifting here.
Didn't hear any lifts on my end. Seemed like he was flat out. Wonder if the car has a lot more downforce than Mikko's has.
Could be. That could be a similar situation that we saw out of Kochi and that. So he's definitely able to gain up a lot here through the middle section. So that may be exactly the problem here with Trangrade.
Slides a little bit out of the toe of the boot. Still holding at about 4/10. So he hasn't lost what he's been trying for. Much more tight at the apex. In fact, he gained quite a bit through that run. Looking much better than the Finn. Can the Norwegian manage to pull one over on him?
He may have to, but as we've seen, we may have to be a little bit later in the lap here. He's not really able to get the move going down through the S's. Bad run there for Lino, but that didn't seem to hurt him too much. He got a little bit squirrely coming off that final corner.
Did he get squirrely, or did he try and pull it over to break the slipstream? I kind of thought he was just kind of weaving to see if he could keep Ove out of it, but then he hasn't been doing that on the backstretch.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Joe. It looked like he may have kicked up a little bit of dirt, and that's what did it. Okay, here comes Trangrade. Looks like he's got a little bit of a better run. Indeed, this is the best run I've seen him have in a while. He's definitely got some closing speed. Not quite close enough to make this stick, I think, but he is closing in. So the race is on here for the number 13.
Doesn't have many laps to try and do it, though. He's going to have 2 to go at the line. Getting right underneath that rear wing. Down to 0.2 of a second. Will he try and be aggressive, dive it in deep, or will he wait for another slipstream? As they come back out of the heel or the toe of the boot, they are about 1.5 seconds behind Tolinen as well. Not too far behind, but it's going to take a mistake from Yuka for them to try and be able to attack him for 4th place as well. Look at him. Very strong there through turn 9.
Yeah, that's exactly what he needs to do. I mentioned it at the top. You need a good run through turn 9 to really set up the next 3 corners and be able to get the run going through the S's. So can he do it here? Good pressure to the back of Lino. He's going to stay in the draft. I don't think he's going to want to make the move through the 90s, so he may have to back off ever so slightly. Doesn't make it here, just setting himself up. Here it comes for Trangrade.
That fuel is burning off. Fastest lap for Prix was a 31.7 now. They are absolutely flying. So we continue to watch this fight. Trangrade, he's much closer this time. Does Mikko try to cover the inside? Yes, he does. He feels under threat. Trangrade around to the outside. Wheel to wheel, nose to nose as they come up to the carousel. And Trangrade's going to take it.
Absolutely perfect positioning of the car. He just spun a little bit on the rear entry, but oh, that's not going to go away so easy for Lino. He tries to fight around through the chute, but Trangrade, having absolutely none of it, finally holds on to that position. Lino maybe thinking about a move going into the toe, but again, Trangrade says, no, this is mine, and you're not having it back.
If Mikko does have faster straight line speed like we theorized, could be an easy pass. In fact, he could try for it right here. Is this going to look to the inside? Down into the heel of the boot, forcing Trangrade offline, but he's not brave enough, and he can't get it done.
And there comes Trangrade. Remember that mega run he had through this corner on the last lap? Does it pretty much again, holds that line down well. He is up into good position. He's just got to hold this out for one more lap and hope that Lino doesn't try to make a move coming down the straightaway one last time.
Fastest lap going back to Rinna by just a 100th or so of a second over Gernot Frisha. Here's where we want to see what happens between Trangrade and Lino. Who is going to have the better run?
We're right on board with Lino. You can see there the speed starting to mount as they come up through the S's. He's got a lot of room to try to make up, but that draft is going to be very, very helpful. Now let's see where Trangaré decides to put the car. He's going to take it to the inside. Lino's going to try to take speed around the outside.
Trangaré's been pretty mighty on the brakes today, and he's going to hold tough on the inside. Miko has a nose ahead, and a little slip up from Ove may have just cost him fifth.
Indeed not able to fight back through the chute. Going to try to maybe have to do something through the toe. He's only got about 4 or 5 more corners to make anything work, but I think he's just too far back.
Oh, it'll take something desperate for sure. No desperation from the number 2. Oscar Irina comes around looking to take the first win of the season at the very first round. He's just got 1 corner to go. And Oscar Irina is looking not bad for number 2 driver as he takes the win here at Watkins Glen.
Absolutely amazing performance. Never looked back. We jump back here to take a look at that battle with Trangaré. Trangaré not going to be able to do it, I think.
No, Miko recovered to 5th. Still not the race I think he was hoping for. As we look at Torp and Williams, as long as Torp is smooth here, Williams absolutely sends it into the final corner. Unfortunately, that gives him a poor exit. He'll have to settle for 10th as Dubois beats Timothy Reed as well for 12th. All of our finishing cars will finish on the lead lap today. Just incredible pace all around from this top split. That's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back soon with the official results as well as driver interviews, and Michael Detert pulling a little 360. Can't tell if that was flair or frustration. Don't go away.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12-Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Watkins Glen. Round 1 here in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series went to Oscar Irina. He was about 6.5 seconds ahead of Gernot Friesche. The two of them trading fastest laps, but that actually went to Ascari. So he gets some bonus points, actually maximum points, also taking the 2 for the pole as well. Nikola Kochi was third behind the pair of them with Jukka Tolinen, and a great fight with him, but he wound up 4th. Miko, a mistake early and then a mistake later, sent him down to 5th after starting on the front row of a Trangaré, who was fighting him the whole way at the end and wound up in 6th. Alex Millward 7th after it could have been a little bit more, a number of slip-ups for him today. We'll see if we get to talk to him, as Matthias Hovdahl was 8th, as Thomas Torp was 9th, and then Paul Williams rounds out your top 10.
In 11th, it was Christophe Dubois, followed by Timothy Reed and Pablo Suarez finishing behind him. Barry West came home in 14th, followed by Michael DeTurk after that little bit of an incident. Timu Vascalampi, we heard, had some issues with his VR, and that's what sent him out of the race in the end. Severi Seppa also suffering damage as a result of that contact with Vascalampi, with Parigi and then Mascara rounding out your field.
And it looks like we have our second place finisher ready to talk to us, Gernot Frische, as we pull him in. Gernot, congratulations on a second place. It looked like there at the end of the race, you and Ascari really pushing each other for that fastest lap.
Hi, Joey. Yeah, at least I tried to. Was pushing until the very end. Although I knew that Oscari was basically faster than me, but yeah, was hoping maybe to sneak to the fastest lap when Oscari maybe wouldn't be willing to take the last risk, but actually he did. So yeah, he was a deserved winner, and congrats to him and to Nicola as well.
If you had managed a slightly better qualifying today, do you think you could have challenged him up at the front? It seemed you two were relatively close on pace.
Well, telling from his qualifying pace, I think he was in control. On the other hand, I had a really bad qualifying, so I should have been closer to the front right in the beginning, so that made it much more difficult for me. But yeah, still I had a very good race. I'm happy with that.
And I have to imagine that qualifying takes an extra urgency next week with us heading to Barcelona. You're going to put some one-lap practice in over there?
Yeah, mostly I do practice on qualifying fuel, so do much less testing with race fuel. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
All right, well, we'll watch out for you and see how you fare. Congratulations, though, on a podium today.
Thanks, guys. Good to be back. So see you guys.
It was Gernot Frische, second place, climbing up impressively through the grid. As up next, third place went to Nicola Kochi, and DJ has caught up with him.
Well, Nicola, that was a heck of a race out there for you. A couple of great battles and a good climb through the field. You've got to be pretty happy with this third place.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm pretty happy, but not completely, because of course Oscari was like the fastest guy out there, but this is a draft track. So even if you have like, I don't know, half a second pace more faster than the other, you still have to fight until the last lap if the group behind you can stay close. So I'm not really happy because I've been almost murdered a couple of times. A little bit of a naughty move out there, so I had to start right from the back of the group, and so I just simply lost time. And when I saw the two guys in front of me collided, I already knew that the first place was out of reach because of no draft, so nobody could touch him. So I just fought for the podium, and I was lucky to get one.
Well, to that point about that fight for the podium, that back and forth with Tolan in there looked like we were kind of suspecting that you were running maybe a heavier downforce load than Yuka was. And so for you, was it a situation where you were, kind of thinking, okay, I got to make this pass through the boot section because I just don't have the straight line speed? Yeah,
that was an amazing fight with Yuka, and it's a very fair guy. So that was awesome. So yeah, I already knew that I had more downforce because he's usually driving less downforce than the average. But I realized that up until Yuka had draft from Gernot, I was not able to overtake him with top speed. So I just had to take a decision, leave Yuka wherever it was and trying to fight for P2 with Gernot, if he was able to close on Gernot, of course, or just start to fight to create the gap between Gernot and Yuka in order that he could not get the draft anymore and I could have a chance to pass it. So I just left him a couple of laps to see if he was going to gain or lose. And when I saw that he was not gaining anything, I just realized that I had to fight to split the two guy and fight for position rather than wait for the last few laps and still fight only for third place.
Gotcha. Well, looking ahead on the schedule, we obviously head to Barcelona next week. Are you looking forward to that, or are there any particular tracks on this year's calendar that you're really feeling excited for?
Well, yeah, most of the time the track I like, I'm not fast at all, and the track that I don't like, I'm usually fast. So we have still like the classic, like the Nürburgring, that is always like an amazing experience to drive with this car. It's a little bit like sim racing Nirvana, if you ask me. But other than that, we have other classic track that basically they're only track that I like, or at least I like the most. So we always had a pretty nice schedule, and sometimes you get some quirky tracks here and there, but that's usual, that's normal. It doesn't bother me. But because on average the track that we always run is very good and very fun.
Well, I know we're looking forward to all of the races this year. And Nicola, again, congratulations. I got to say, from our perspective, that was a very fun race to watch.
Yeah, I had a very exciting race, and I'm sure that you enjoyed it a lot. So thank you guys, thank you, Clark. And I think that I have to go back to watch Italy football match before they remove my passport. Because it's like some kind of criminal that an Italian does not watch a football match from Italy.
Well, go watch it, my friend. That's an important thing to do. That was your third place finisher here today, Nicola Cocci. Joe?
I like that. I have to remember that that's a requirement to be an Italian. In the meantime, we're going to close out with a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. But also, I want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, DJ, Ryan, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. There's also our social media outlets. We've got them listed at the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because as we mentioned, the next race will be Barcelona. That'll be Sunday, June 27th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. The Majors is actually going on right now, the European region, so make sure and catch the remainder of that race. But if you don't have the time, tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern for the 2.4 hours of Le Mans, so the American region here in the Majors. Until next time, though, have a happy Father's Day, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.